All right. Welcome back to another great episode of hashtag Her Chosen Story with Clivia. We have a special guest, a male this time. I know you guys have been seeing the queens blessing the stage, but ever so often we will have our kings blessing the stage. And I have a special guest today. I'm going to read a short bio and then we'll bring him up without any further ado. I had a couple of delays, but every delay is not denied. So here we are. All right. So today we have Chris. Christopher Clarke is an upcoming photographer in Orlando and a student at Seminole State College. He has mentored kids at Journeys Academy and have also worked with coaching students at his college. Chris has overcome many obstacles. He's also working towards getting his liberal arts degree, enhancing his photography experience, and becoming a better version of himself. And that is awesome. So, without any further ado, we will be talking about Unmasked, the real mental health journey. So, at this time, please help me welcome Mr. Christopher Clarke to the stage. Hey, Chris.
How you doing? How you doing, Miss Cynthia?
Doing well. How are you today? So introduce yourself and let's get started with the conversation.
Well, I mean, you kind of introduced me. My name is Christopher Clarke. Born in Orlando, raised up down South Florida. Just been traveling my whole life. Um, but now I'm here, settled, doing photography, going for my degree, and just working hard for my next levels in life.
That is awesome. And I know I have some questions for you. So I'll actually start off with going off of what was in your bio. You talked about mentoring children at Journeys Academy. Is that another part of your college? What is Journeys Academy?
That involves a church that I go to, ENC.
Okay.
It's more like a bunch of college students come together and stuff, and we have male mentors at the church itself. And they invited me because I was once a Journey's youth student, and I'm able to see different things in someone that hasn't really been in that lifestyle, or just it's just harder to guide and navigate those types of kids into a better, well, thoughtful mind at times.
Now you mentioned ENC. Can I ask, do you go to Lake Mary Church?
Sometimes on Wednesdays, but they love me
Okay.
there. Yeah, they love me there.
That's awesome. I attend Lake Mary and okay, that's good to know.
Mhm.
That is great to know. And that's the beautiful thing that you're doing too, especially for, young men, youths in our community. So that's keep doing that. That's really key. All right, so we're going to talk about mental health. And May, actually, I was going to drop this episode on June 2nd, but I think we'll do it on May 26th
Okay.
because I think it's important that we keep it within the month. And I mean, although I could change it, I think it's important for people to understand the importance of mental wellness. So, can you share a specific mental health challenge you faced and how did that impact your life daily?
Um, Not being able to be disciplined kind of played a big role into the negative things that I invited into my life later on in life. Not being able to be patient as well. It deterred me from the time that I could have spent doing something positive, that infiltrated it by doing something negative. So I feel like overcoming that right there was like a huge step into like that the world of just freedom and being able to know that I can have a different surrounding and different, aspirations and goals and visions. So I feel like
Right.
just the lack of discipline and, those things.
Okay. Okay. And what strategies or coping mechanism have you found most effective in managing those challenges?
I feel like as especially men, I feel like we tend to find things that please us in the moment. Um
Mhm.
I feel like if you fill your time up with just like reading or doing things that that is yourself and not just your friends and surroundings and your environment, I feel like you're able to, deconceptualize just what's not to be done and what is to be done, and
Yeah,
to get.
that's really good. That's good. And I going back to when I was in my 20s, I was married at 25. My spouse at the time was 25, but even understanding your environment and being mature. I mean, for me, talking to you right now, there is a level of maturity, right? And when you're able to speak of certain things, how you spend your time, how do you develop, how do you unlearn to learn, how do you not chase the temporary things but go after what makes sense, right? Building legacies, having a vision. I think that's really key for men. I'm not a man, but I'm raising a son, right? So to hear those words from a young man, it is encouraging. And really believe that yeah, and that's why I even started Chosen Men. Men, MEN, is mindful, empowering, and noble. And I love men, right? And I
Hmm.
realize we need men in our communities. We need men to speak life into um, our younger boys. And you talked about the next generation, speaking
Hmm.
life into them. So I think that's really key. How has your support system? Now we met again. This is our first time meeting, but I know your aunts, and I know what they're doing in regards to that. But how has your support system, friends, family, professionals, play a role in your mental health journey? How did that help? And then how did that intertwine with you now doing photography?
Uh, I would say God first before anything. That's I had to include Him because at a point in time I was in disbelief of feeling like anything of the supernatural was around me until I had
Right,
my own experiences. But then, family, I feel like family and friends are a big major part on your development and your growth, and who you hang around is who you will become. Um, my family, like my grandmother, my aunts, as you see, and my mother have helped me along the ways in order to get away from a certain lifestyle because after
mhm,
time I just started choosing it instead of letting it instead of it becoming like something that was around me, I let it become me. And so I like
right,
involved myself with so many different things. Luckily, I've always been like just blessed enough to just get up out of situations without going through any like big trials or anything.
right,
So luckily, I've made it past that lifestyle without becoming a convicted felon or being hurt or
yeah,
being disabled or anything. Just going through that life.
yeah,
Um, but I can say that yeah, my surroundings, as in like my aunts and just those type of people, and especially my friends, I had to change my friend group a lot. I didn't
yeah,
just go through one or two friend groups. I went through several, over 10,
right,
over handfuls of friend groups in order
wow,
to know like, okay, this is what I want to be surrounded by. Okay, these people's goals and what they're going for is something where okay, at least like later down the line, I can see this being as a networking background or just someone that I would want to be around or have around my
yeah,
children when I have children or my family.
yeah. That's good. That's really good. And that's key. I always talk about the environment that we're in. And I'm from Brooklyn, New York. And for my children being the age they were, I knew our environment had to change, right? Although we were in church, we are in church, and still the environment, literally our environment, I did not want them to see, not to say see it, but grow up in that environment where they'll get caught up in it and they'll think like, oh, this lifestyle is okay, although we love the Lord, you know? So really changing your environment, like you mentioned, changing friends group. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people feel like they have to, like my daughter struggle with finding friends that are influential, and she's a follower, but then she says she's a leader. And I'm like, who are you leading? How are you leading? So I really think you have to weigh your options and see, okay, is this person an asset to me? Are they going to help me grow? You're going to be a father one day, you'll be a husband one day. What would that look like? So we have to now start positioning ourselves for success in that way. I love that. I do love that. What advice would you give? I'll I'll actually change up some questions. Seeing that you are now in your 20s, what advice would you give to your 15-year-old self, your mini me? What would you tell him?
To be patient, anything that you do will catch up back to you. Not right now, not in the moment, but it
Mm-hmm.
will catch up to you.
Yeah.
Stay focused. Stay in school. That was my biggest thing due to the lack of stability over time with what we went through and stuff. I didn't like trust my mom. I trusted my stuff, my siblings to know that like things will get better. So I just took it upon myself to
Mm,
dive right headfirst into thinking the streets was gonna, just do something to change how I
yeah.
feel in that moment, but it only made it
Yeah.
worse. And it made it feel good though. it made it feel so good that like kind of like an euphorical feeling over time until like that time ran out, and then I'm having to deal with everything that I put out. So
Yeah.
I would tell my young self, just be patient, build discipline. When you're thinking too hard on things, go read a book or go run or go play a sport. You know, so
Yeah.
that's what I would
That's
tell
good.
myself.
I think he'll appreciate that advice. And now at this age, giving advice to someone who's just starting to confront their own mental issues or trying to fit in, what would you tell that person? Or what do you tell, let's say, the youths that you talk to at Journeys Academy? What does that conversation look like?
I get to know them as a kid or just as a person in general
A person.
because
Mhm.
when we're young, we tend to not like really see ourselves in a way where like we could fully grasp and understand because we're still so new to this life. I feel like I get to know them and get to dissect, okay, like this is what's going on. So you have to find something that not just soothes their mind and what they're going through, but how to combat with that in order to challenge them. Because as kids, at that like at Journeys Academy, it's a school full of like defiant kids and just kids that are fighting, lashing out, drugs,
Okay.
families, just going through a lot of things. So you have to.
Yeah.
They're not being challenged, so they're finding coping ways that aren't good for them. That's bringing them down in places that that is just a detriment for their future. So you have to challenge it in a proactive way to be like, okay, like I challenge you to like just prime example, if I know I'm dealing with someone who believes in the Lord and I know that they're going through so many things at the house and I know that it's affecting them, you have to challenge that. So you have to be like, okay, like I'll give you this if you read 10 verses in the Bible and tell me come back to me next week and
Yeah.
talk to me about it. Because
Incentives.
yeah, so it's just like those are the things like I talk to kids about, or like even in my daily stroll, like when I'm just talking to people that I see just going through it at my age, like because I don't
Hmm.
feel at the point I'm 23 years old and I've went through so many things. So at my level, I've already experienced so much. So when I see a person my age going through it, being like life is hard, life is this, obviously, let's bust a prayer down. But I'm just saying, like, I know what to say. I know
Yeah.
what that moment, how to make someone feel like, okay, like life isn't over with at this time. So,
Yeah. That's
what
good.
about
And even I mean, my platform is Her Chosen Story, and I started off with women, right? Because as women, sometimes there's things we go through, we don't talk about it, or we feel like we're alone, or why
you?
me? And again, going back to including men and even youths, young adults, young people, we feel we're in this alone. And when we go through certain things, so you had to go through what you went through as a young boy, right?
Mm-hmm.
As a teen, you had to go through that because our stories are not for us. Our stories are for someone else. So you sharing this right now, someone is going to click this video and be like, dang, I needed to hear those words. Oh
Mm-hmm.
man, I'm going through the same thing. I'm struggling in this area. Oh, he made it through. Okay, so there's hope. So I'm really glad that you're able to pour into even people your age because you understand what it is to get through it, right? You understand it's a battle. You understand that with God, all things are possible if you believe, that type of thing. So I'm encouraged, really encouraged to hear that. In what ways do you think societal perceptions of mental health have affected your experience? So we're talking, I remember people saying, well, you hear the word mental and they think crazy. Or they hear the word mental, they think you're stacked up on medication. So in regards to the wrong perception of mental health, what do you say about that?
My brother was diagnosed with schizophrenia a couple of years ago. So I've seen not just the mental illness of things, but the
Hmm.
deep depths of where that goes to.
Personal,
And yeah,
right?
see the loved one go through it. And I just say society is very controlled by something higher than what we can even concept. And I feel like they've made just the people against each other and to not care about each other. So I feel like we're alone in a sense, and where we have to direct our thoughts and what we do. It's all our own type of thing. We're just being guided by it by other people that's been through it as well. I feel like mental health is very um, subjective nowadays. I would say like it's
Mhm.
not talked about enough. A lot of people go through things even when they're smiling, even when they're having the
Right.
time of their life at a party. I feel like some people, I don't know. I just feel like it's just bad at this rate nowadays.
Yeah, we wear a mask. We definitely wear a mask because we don't want people to know we're struggling. And again, that's why when I shared my story for the first time in 2020, I'm divorced, I was embarrassed. I kept it to myself. I didn't want people to know because I was a worship leader at the church. I taught Sunday school. I was a youth coordinator. I had all these things, but then my personal life is broken, right?
Mhm.
So I smiled. I wore that mask. So I understood. But the day I decided to take the mask off, share my story, there was such a freedom, there was such a burden lifted,
Mhm.
and I really learned how to block the outside noise because people are people. They're gonna like you whether you're doing good, they're gonna hate you when you're doing good. So we have to remember to show up for ourselves, right? And there's scriptures, and I love referencing scriptures where it says, seek first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness. Like we don't have to seek people. If we
Mhm.
seek God, our steps are ordered by him. So that is really key. How do you celebrate small victories in this journey in regards to what's important to you? And then we'll tap into why photography, why junkie visuals.
Okay. So how I celebrate um just achieving certain goals and steps and milestones. I mean, I haven't really figured that sense of like self out yet because like I just
Okay.
feel like I'm just so very persistent with things and are ongoing and just don't want to stop. Not to say I don't
Hmm.
take a break from anything, but in a
Yeah.
sense I don't feel like the job is done. I feel like goals are being met and stuff like that, but the purposeful driven goal, the bigger goals are that's when I'll feel at least to celebrate and feel like okay, like this is one step down, you know,
Yeah.
because I'm still missing main key components that I didn't get at 16, 17, 18-year-old Chris. So
Right.
I'm still trying to decipher what's that next move in order to
Yeah.
configure out what's going on in my own mind. So
Yeah.
um yeah, so those small goals, just knowing myself. I would say that just celebrating myself is knowing that I accomplish a better version of myself every time.
Exactly.
I feel happy about that. Like I wouldn't say
Yeah.
physical things. I've had a lot of things in my life. I don't find the physical sense of things like to cherish that in a sense. I
Hmm.
cherish growth. I cherish knowing that my family's around, seeing me grow because they've seen me at
Yeah.
one level.
That
So
journey.
my
Yeah.
celebration marks. That's what shows me I'm making progress.
I love that. And yeah, I would say continue figuring it out,
Hmm.
knowing you're not alone, and celebrate those small wins. And those wins is really seeing you grow through the journey, right?
Hmm.
And for me, what has helped was affirmations, affirming who I am, even when there were days when I'm like, I'm not enough, but I know I am. I wrote a book of affirmations, and it was from A to Z. And for me, that was simple to do because I am amazing. I am beautiful. I am confident. I am determined. And I could spit it out real easy because I had to believe those words, right? Um, Self-care, so making sure you show up looking good, make sure you got your shape up, make sure you put a little perfume on. Those are small wins because there's people that they're stuck in this feeling of I'm comfy like this and I don't need to show up. But we're talking being an entrepreneur, we're talking helping other youths. And even the other day, my son, he wanted to wear sneakers to his award ceremony, and I'm like, no. He's like, but mom, and I'm like, no, I want you to look a certain way because we're gonna take pictures, and these pictures gonna last a lifetime. And I want you to look back and say, you know what, my mom was right. So continue doing your thing. And I'm really encouraged. Again, on May 28th, I'm going to have a space, a panel, and I would love for you to join that panel of men. And it's different age group, but I would love for you to be on that panel just to talk about the expectations of men or what people perceive men to do and to be. And again, it's encouraging for someone of your age to be able to go through what you went through at this age, still figuring it out, but also pouring into others, right? That's really something. And now talk about junky visuals. The name, where did we get the name from? When I saw the
Chuck,
email, I'm like, okay, junkie visual. So talk about that, and how has that helped you mentally? Because again, I'm gonna keep referring my son. My son loves basketball. He wants to go to the NBA, but he also loves science and aviation. And I'm like, not to say the NBA is not going to work out, but it's such a stereotype for young Black boys to go to the NBA. What's your backup plan? What happens if you break your ankle? Like, what are we going to do? Because he's like, Mom, I'm going to get you everything you didn't have. I'm going to bless you with your house and cars. And I'm like, that's all good, but I also need you to have a plan. So I
mm-hmm,
asked him, I said, why not get into photography? Just like that. This was
mm-hmm.
like 2 years ago. I said, why not get into photography? I had a very old Canon and I cleaned it up, bought a new SD card, and I gave it to him. He took maybe one photo within the past 6 months, and that's okay. But I don't want to push it, but I just feel like there's so much beauty out there that you can capture. So tell me about JunkyVisuals.
So just the name itself, JunkyVisuals, represents making something out of like nothing,
Mm,
turning something from nothing.
yeah.
Um, so like at one point when I was growing up, I had everything. My mom took real great care of us, me and my brother and sister, and
Hmm.
we were like perfectly fine. And we went through some things that changed that, and we went through just the dirt and just lack of stability, lack of everything. So when I think of JunkyVisuals, I think of coming from nothing. And I have a
Yeah.
picture watermark that kind of like symbolizes that. Like I deal with a lot of art because a lot of my family are artists, not just like through just singing and stuff like that, and just musicianal artists. But hello,
Yes, I'm still here.
oh, not just musicianal artists, but like actual artists. My grandma's a gardener, so I have
Mm,
like a sense of weighing a sense of way of seeing things like very precisely, especially with people
mm,
and things. So I just integrate that together, and knowing that it doesn't always have to be the best background, doesn't always have to be the best looking person, but I know how to
mm-hmm.
put it together and make nothing out of something.
Nice.
That's where JunkyVisuals kind of symbolizes that.
That's awesome. And I know I did put up your Instagram, but where can people find you? How can they, support you? How can they hire you? How can they connect?
My email is through my Instagram. It's
Okay.
junkyvisuals at gmail.com. You can, set an appointment. I do have I think a threads from Instagram. What else do we have? And a Facebook. You can get at us at Facebook.
Okay, nice.
Twitter I think as well. We have one. What it's all being developed right now, developing my production team and everything. We will be integrating with like videographers, cinematographers to shoot short films and just to shoot just different things. Because I want to travel a lot too, and photography is my main thing. What I want to make it out into the world and for them to see
Yeah.
my creativeness and my artistry. But college is my backup plan, and I feel like those two are like the best integrations right now because to know that if photography is not taken off the way I know my backup plan is a guarantee. I know that I'll have a degree at the end of this
Yeah.
2 3 years, and
Yeah.
knowing I'll receive my bachelor's to know I will have something to make sure I'm getting paid
To
and make
carry
sure.
through. That's awesome. And I'm glad you mentioned productions. I do have I updated, so I get when you say you're still putting things together. I had to reinvent myself, so to speak,
Mm-hmm,
which is part of my story, but just updated my website, still being updated, but one of the things I have is sponsorship. Like how I showed I don't even think I showed it. But yeah, normally I would advertise a company and they would contribute, to being advertised on one episode. So now there's options of different levels, right? And
mm-hmm,
right now I'm bringing virtual interviews kind of to a pause, a standstill at the end of this month. However, I want to be able to go to studios, right? To do sit on a couch and have an audience. So when you mention productions, I do work with a production company out in Georgia, but to have someone local, that would be awesome. So I'll definitely keep you in mind for when that time comes. But again, we need people to sponsor these episodes. We need people to contribute because these stories need to be heard, they need to be told. And I think once I continue doing this, and we're going to share these videos with the masses, that we'll be able to do those in person and short films. So definitely we'll connect offline and we'll see how we can make some things happen. Yeah, I think that would be really, really good. All right, so we're going to come to a close. Any last words you want to share with our audience? Any
Stay blessed up. Trust God. Um, have faith. And just keep going. Everything will get better later.
Love it. I love it. And I'm going to show your so maybe information again. Let's see if it shows. It's being a little wonky on this side. I did show it before. It's not coming up. Okay. That's all right. Well, Chris, thank you so much. Technology is something else.
Oh,
I don't
thank
know
you for
what's
having
happening. No problem. It was a pleasure. So yeah, let me know if you're available on May 28th. It's going to be live. That's going to be live. So yeah, this would be premiered on the 26th of May. Oh, there you have it. See, it does it when it wants to. So capturing captivating moments, lifestyle brand events. I love that. And yeah, these photos are definitely beautiful.
Thank you so
Um, you're very welcome. So yeah, I'll definitely keep you in the loop, but keep doing what you're doing. I'll keep you in prayer, and we will definitely connect for what's to come with Chosen 31 and Junky Visuals. We'll definitely collab. And I have a business mixer coming up on. I'm just gonna put that up on June 7th in Orlando. I think that would be good for you to meet some other business owners, some maybe
much.
potential clients that maybe they're looking for a photographer. All right.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so
Thank you
much,
so
Chris.
much.
You're welcome. Have a great one. All right, that was another great episode of hashtag Her Chosen Story. Our guest, Christopher Clarke, born and raised here in Florida. We really happy to have him bless our stage and just unmasking the real mental health journey presented by chosen men. And really, it's encouraging that a young man like that can have an experience, grow through it, and now he's pouring into others. I believe that's really beautiful. So again, this episode would be premiered on May 26th. I normally don't announce but I am announcing it. So you would see this released on May 26th, and on the 28th, we're going to have our chosen men, which you saw that my intro was different. And that's when I have men on. And that's something I have to keep in mind, that we'll have our chosen men intro. On June 7th, again, we're going to have our business mixer. That's with our WIN community. And I'm just excited for what is happening, what God is doing. And yeah, remember, you're chosen for such a time as this. Remember to be bold, to be brave, to be beautiful, and to be a guest. Things are changing, like I said. So right now, we're looking for sponsors, we're looking for contributors, so your business can be featured during our episodes. And that's 30 to 60-second ads. To learn more, you can reach out to me at chosen31handcraft@gmail.com. Thank you and many blessings to you. Remember, you're chosen.